Welcome to Cruise News, your daily update on everything happening at sea. Visit cruisenews.io to see today's stories and sign up for email alerts.
So imagine you're on a multi-million-dollar floating resort, right?
Really?
And suddenly, the only door out of the ocean you're currently in is just locked by a military conflict. Or, on the flip side, imagine parking an exclusive, 180-guest boutique riverboat right next to a chaotic 3,000-passenger mega ship.
Yeah, it is a completely bizarre day for the cruise map, honestly.
It really is. Today, we are looking at the bizarre realities of an industry map that is being aggressively physically redrawn.
Exactly. It's a day defined pretty much entirely by shifting ports and these massive structural shakeups. Our focus today is to really unpack how global events, domestic expansions, and your corporate strategies are physically rerouting the entire industry.
And, I mean, if you have a vacation booked right now, or you're even thinking about booking one, you really need to pay attention to these changes.
Oh, absolutely. Because these aren't just minor itinerary tweaks where you show up at 9 a.m. instead of 0 a.m. These are massive structural shifts that are going to directly impact your future vacation plans.
Yeah, we're tracking 3 distinct stories today, but they all share one really clear underlying theme, which is the pursuit of absolute control.
Control, right.
We're seeing an industry-wide mass exit from the Arabian Gulf. Then we're going to look at how domestic ports are capitalizing on that global uncertainty, specifically a really historic milestone down in Mobile, Alabama.
Love that story.
It's fascinating. And finally, we're uncovering the strategic reasons why Royal Caribbean is suddenly swapping out independent Caribbean ports for destinations they literally own.
Let's start with the situation in the Middle East, because this is a forced shift, and the speed at which it's happening is just staggering.
It really is.
Celestyal Cruises just announced they are abruptly canceling all their remaining March Arabian Gulf departures for the Celestial journey.
Right. That ship was sailing out of Doha and Dubai.
Exactly. And they also had to pull 2 early season sailing out of Athens for their other ship, the Celestial Discovery.
And, Celestial is making the headlines today, but it is critical to understand they are absolutely not alone in this.
Right, it's everyone.
Yeah, MSC Cruises had to cancel 3 consecutive 7-night sailings on the MSC Euribia, which is currently docked at Dubai Port.
Wow.
And TUI Cruises went even further. They suspended their voyages in the region all the way into March 2026 for both the Mein Schiff 4 and Mein Schiff 5.
Which is a huge chunk of time.
It is. And Saudi Arabia's own Arroyo Cruises just suspended its entire 2025-2026 Arabian Gulf season. Their flagship, the Arroyo Manara, was supposed to sail through May 2026, and now it is just sitting idle alongside in Dubai.
Let's talk about the geography of this for a second, because it is essentially a geographical trap.
Yeah, that's the best way to describe it.
To transit out of the Arabian Gulf and reposition back to the Mediterranean for the summer season, these ships have to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. And right now, the Strait of Hormuz is being described by maritime security as closed due to the heightened regional conflict.
It's one of the most severe maritime bottlenecks on the planet. You have these massive commercial vessels full of crew, and in some cases, passengers waiting to be repatriated.
Yeah.
And the singular primary exit route out of that body of water is simply not viable for passenger ships right now.
And this is where the public statements from the cruise lines feel, I don't know, a bit disconnected from reality to me.
Oh, the PR spin?
Yeah. They put out these super calm press releases saying the ships will depart from the region, quote, once cleared by authorities.
Right, like it's a minor weather delay.
Exactly. But logistically, it's like being in a crowded theater, and the only exit door has suddenly been chained shut. I mean, how do you quietly reposition a 55,800-ton floating hotel like the Celestial Journey out of a lockdown region without taking on massive financial and operational risk?
You don't. I mean, we're talking about a ship carrying over 1,200 guests and 600 crew members.
Right.
So quietly isn't really the right word. What's actually happening behind the scenes isn't some stealth mission. It is a massive bureaucratic chess match.
Because they have to talk to the military.
Right, hourly. Repositioning a vessel of that size under these conditions requires intense coordination with military authorities, international embassies, and private maritime security firms.
That sounds incredibly stressful.
It is. For instance, MSC has explicitly stated their repatriation plans are being coordinated directly with military escorts.
Wow. Military escorts just to move a cruise ship.
Yeah. And TUI literally has passengers sheltering on board while they finalize coordinated chartered flights out of Qatar and the UAE. It is a highly complex, high-stakes extraction process.
So if you are listening to this and you're holding a ticket for one of these sailings, what is the immediate reality?
Well, if you were booked on those canceled Celestial Journey Desert Days itineraries or the Celestial Discovery iconic Asian cruises, you are being offered a choice between a full refund and a future cruise credit.
Which is standard. But here's the thing. The impact of this doesn't stop at the borders of the Middle East.
Not even close. When you have multiple major cruise lines entirely abandoning a region, those massive ships have to go somewhere else.
Right. They can't just hide in a port.
No, they can't just sit idle for a year. The financial burn rate is way too high. Celestial has already stated they are repositioning their vessels to the Mediterranean ahead of the summer season.
Which means if you are planning a winter 2025-2026 escape to Europe, you need to brace yourself.
Oh yeah, it's going to be packed.
All these ships fleeing the Middle East, they are heading straight for the Mediterranean. The market is going to be incredibly crowded.
Extremely.
Ports that are usually really quiet in the winter are going to be seeing a huge influx of displaced megaships just scrambling for safe anchorages.
It changes the entire supply and demand curve for the European cruise market.
Yeah.
But it also highlights the vulnerability of relying on international waters right now.
Yeah, the geopolitical risk is just too high.
Exactly. The cruise lines are actively looking for environments where they don't have to worry about these geopolitical sudden death scenarios.
Which perfectly illustrates our underlying theme today, which is control.
Right.
It makes total sense that while international waters in the Middle East are becoming severely restricted, domestic ports here in the U.S. are seizing an incredible opportunity to provide that safe haven.
Yeah, it's a huge pivot.
We are seeing local ports stepping up to capture those tourism dollars right at home, where the operational environment is entirely predictable. Let's look at Mobile, Alabama.
Yes, the Port of Mobile just marked a major historic milestone. For the very first time in the history of the city, they hosted two totally different cruise lines simultaneously.
Which is wild for a port that size.
It is. You had American Cruise Lines, American Symphony docking right alongside Carnival Cruise Lines' Carnival Spirit.
I want to stop and paint a picture of this because the physical and operational contrast between these two ships sitting next to each other in Mobile is just wild to me.
Oh, it's night and day.
On one side, you have the American Symphony. This is a highly exclusive boutique riverboat. It's running an 8-day, one-way cruise between New Orleans and Pensacola.
Right.
And the ship only carries up to 180 guests. It features a 4-story glass atrium, 5 decks, and the fares for this route are super premium. We're talking between $4,065 and $5,300 per person.
And the economic model for that ship is entirely different from a traditional cruise.
How so?
Well, their itinerary is deeply port-focused. They are stopping in smaller places along the Mississippi coast, like Gulfport and Biloxi.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and in Biloxi, they actually docked at the Pops Ferry Causeway, and passengers took specialized shore excursions to see the Biloxi schooner and the O'Keeffe Museum of Art.
So they're actually spending time in the town.
Exactly. When they stopped in Mobile, it wasn't a quick turnaround. It was a full 12-hour visit.
Which is a huge injection of cash into the local economy.
Yeah.
The CEO of Visit Mobile specifically pointed out that American Cruise Lines chooses these ports because the emphasis is on local culture, history, and maximizing time ashore. But then, literally right next door on the very same day, you have Carnival's megaship strategy.
The complete opposite end of the spectrum.
The Carnival Spirit is currently doing seasonal calls. But looking ahead to May 15th, 2027, Carnival is bringing the Carnival Valor to Mobile for year-round service.
And just to put that in perspective, the Carnival Valor is a 952-foot ship that carries nearly 3,000 guests.
Wow.
It will be the largest cruise ship to home port in Mobile since they started cruising operations there back in 2004.
It is basically like parking an exclusive, quiet, very expensive boutique bed and breakfast right next to a massive, bustling mega resort.
That's a great way to put it.
But I have to wonder about the infrastructure strain here. I mean, can these two radically different styles of cruising and really radically different types of cruisers actually coexist in a smaller destination port like Mobile without cannibalizing each other's resources?
It's a fair question.
Or like fundamentally changing the port's unique historical character?
It is definitely the ultimate test of a port's infrastructure. But from an economic standpoint, Gulf Coast ports are actively trying to engineer this exact scenario.
Really? They want both at the same time?
Absolutely. They are diversifying. They know They can't just rely on the massive volume of a 3,000 passenger ship buying, cheap souvenirs.
Right, the margins on that aren't great for the city.
Exactly. So they are simultaneously chasing the high-yield premium tourism dollar that a small 180-guest riverboat brings in. Those 180 guests are spending heavily on fine dining, museums, and high-end local experiences.
So if mobile is your local drive to port, your options are fundamentally changing.
Oh, completely.
It is no longer just a convenient departure point where you park your car to go on a budget Caribbean run.
Yep.
It is becoming a destination in its own right, offering premium, culture-focused coastal cruising.
Yeah, American Cruise Lines already has 17 cruises scheduled there from late 2026 into early 2027, and they are already booking into 2028.
That's incredible growth.
It is. The local port is evolving to capture every tier of the vacation market. But, this brings us back to that central theme of control.
Right.
Mobil is successfully attracting cruise lines by offering a stable domestic alternative. But what happens when simply changing ports isn't enough for these massive cruise corporations?
When they want even more predictability.
Exactly. What happens when they decide the only way to completely insulate themselves from global chaos and to maximize their profit is to just buy the destination outright?
And that takes us to our third story, where Royal Caribbean is providing an absolute masterclass in doing exactly that.
We really are.
We need to talk about the Legend of the Seas. This is a massive, highly anticipated, new Icon-class ship that is currently finishing construction in Finland and is due to enter service in July 2026.
And before we get into the itinerary changes, we should probably establish just how significant this ship is. They just held the coin ceremony for it on February 25, 2026. That's a maritime tradition where they weld coins beneath the keel for good fortune, and it is preparing for sea trials soon.
Wait, before we move on, for anyone who isn't a maritime engineer, let's contextualize this ship.
Good idea.
It is over 250,000 gross tons and can carry up to 7,600 guests.
It's just massive.
What does 250,000 gross tons actually look like? We're talking about a vessel that is roughly 5 times the physical volume of the Titanic.
Let that sink in for a second. 5 times.
It has a Category 6 water park on board, meaning an actual multi-slide water park suspended over the ocean, plus a Crown's Edge zipline ropes course. It is not just a ship, it is a floating city.
That is the perfect way to describe it, and that 7,600-passenger floating city is suddenly changing its route.
Oh, here we go.
For the ship's 6-night Western Caribbean route sailing out of Fort Lauderdale starting in November 2026, Royal Caribbean is dropping their scheduled stop in Falmouth, Jamaica.
Okay, and where are they going instead?
Instead, they are rerouting to Cozumel, Mexico. And even more interesting, they are taking a scheduled day at sea and swapping it out for a full day from 8:00 a.m. to 5:00 p.m. in Cozumel, Mexico.
So guests end up with back-to-back port days in Mexico.
Exactly.
Now, Royal Caribbean hasn't given a specific official public reason for dropping Falmouth on these sailings. We do know Falmouth is still undergoing long-term repairs and infrastructure enhancements following Hurricane Melissa in late 2025.
Right. The port is officially open and operating normally, but it's still recovering.
But the real driver here isn't just a weather delay, is it? It is a massive corporate push for vertical integration.
That's the key phrase. Let's look at the mechanics of vertical integration in the cruise industry because it is fascinating.
Please do.
It basically means owning the supply chain from top to bottom. In July 2025, Royal Caribbean officially became the owner of the port of Mahawal, which the cruising public knows as Costa Maya.
They literally bought the port.
They bought it. And they are currently building Perfect Day Mexico right there, which is a 200-plus acre destination expected to open in late 2027.
I know that project has faced some delays due to environmental concerns and local business pushback, but the strategy is crystal clear.
Oh, completely clear.
They are taking their newest, largest ship and aggressively steering it toward a piece of land they own.
Yes. And while guests might see an itinerary change that replaces a sea day with a full port day in Costa Maya as a massive win, I mean, you get an extra day off the ship, the economics behind it are brilliant for the cruise line.
This is exactly what I want to dig into, because we have to look at the financial reality of this. Isn't this just a walled garden strategy?
Exactly what it is.
It's exactly like a theme park. Disney doesn't want you leaving Disney World to buy a cheaper burger at a local restaurant down the street. They want every dollar kept in-house. Royal Caribbean is doing the exact same thing with the ocean. By steering these 7,600 passenger ships away from independent ports like Falmouth and toward destinations they literally own, aren't they just building offshore theme parks?
It actually goes beyond just a walled garden. It's total vertical integration. They aren't just building the garden, they own the dirt it's built on.
Wow.
Think about it like this. When you visit an independent port, you might buy a margarita at a local bar or book a snorkeling tour with a local vendor. The local economy captures that cash.
Right.
But when a ship docks at a port the cruise line owns, the dynamic changes entirely. They control the security, the quality of the food, the shore excursions, the retail space.
The whole ecosystem.
Exactly. So when you buy that same margarita on land in Costa Maya, the money goes into the exact same corporate pocket as when you bought a drink at the ship's bar.
The entire experience is designed to keep every single dollar you spend inside the company's ecosystem.
And industry observers are pointing to this as Royal Caribbean's broader destination strategy in Mexico. By taking absolute control over the destination, the cruise line guarantees a consistent guest experience.
Which people do want, to be fair.
True. And from a corporate margin standpoint, it is incredibly lucrative. But from a traditional cruising standpoint, where the appeal was exploring independent, varied local cultures, it is a massive departure.
So what does this mean for your wallet and your vacation plans right now?
Well, the social media reaction shows a lot of guests actually prefer Cozumel and Costa Maya over Falmouth.
Really?
Yeah, they love the idea of an extra port day. They want the consistent, curated experience.
Okay, that makes sense, but what if you don't?
Right. If you are currently booked on one of these early Legend of the Seas 6-night sailings, specifically the November 22 and December 6 departures, and you are upset about this change, you do have options, but they come with caveats.
There's always a caveat.
Always. Royal Caribbean's policy for 5 to 14-night sailings gives you up to 90 days before your departure to cancel without a penalty. Okay? However, you need to be aware that you would still lose any non-refundable deposits you put down.
Naturally.
Alternatively, you can switch to another Royal Caribbean sailing at least 90 days out, though you will likely pay their standard $100 per person change fee.
Which is incredibly frustrating for consumers.
Yeah.
You have to pay a $100 change fee or alter your vacation plans, not because of a minor scheduling glitch, but as the direct result of a multi-billion-dollar corporate strategy to vertically integrate the Caribbean.
Yeah, it makes corporate strategy deeply personal to your wallet.
It really does.
And that really summarizes the overarching theme of today's reporting. From the Arabian Gulf to the Gulf of Mexico to the Caribbean, we are watching an industry rapidly redraw its maps in search of control.
Absolute control.
In the Middle East, they are moving ships to escape unpredictable military conflicts. On the Gulf Coast, domestic ports are diversifying their infrastructure to capture a controlled, predictable domestic tourism market. And with Royal Caribbean and Mexico, the megalines are buying up the actual infrastructure to assert total financial control over the itinerary. Safety, predictability, and control.
It really leaves you with something to ponder, doesn't it?
For sure.
As global instability continues to rise and these massive megalines continue spending billions buying up private islands and private ports to create these perfectly controlled walled gardens.
Yeah.
What happens to the independent, authentic local ports?
It's a tough question.
In 10 years, will going on a cruise just mean visiting a floating corporate resort that only docks at other land-based resorts owned by the exact same company?
Only time will tell, I guess.
Thanks for listening to Cruise News. Visit cruisenews.io to catch up on the latest updates and sign up for free email alerts.